healthworksradio.com. Alan, on the line we have Barry Carlson, who is a long-term pioneer in the natural health industry. And for many years, he has been helping people improve their lives through better health with an amazing product called CNAG. Barry, welcome back to HealthWorks Radio.
Thank you. Pleasure to be back.
Now, we have talked to you many times, and in particular about CNAG, helping to create a healthy intestinal lining in people with symptoms associated with inflammatory bowel disease. And, you know, we hear a lot about IBS and irritable bowel syndrome. What does it mean? What happens when something is inflamed instead of just irritated? What is the difference?
Well, irritation leads to inflammation, so irritation is the beginning of inflammation. So they're actually associated. You really can't separate one from the other. However, in the case of inflammatory bowel disease or Crohn's disease, irritable bowel syndrome, these are all symptoms of irritation caused by the body's own autoimmune system attacking itself. And what happens in the lining of the intestine, in the throat, and in the respiratory system, there's a mucus material. It's called the glue of life, actually. This is the material that protects the body from absorbing things that it shouldn't absorb, allergens and so on, and also allows the free passage, particularly in the bowel of the stool, to pass through with the least amount of friction, so evacuation is normal. In the disease state, this product, this compound called N-acetylglucosamine, which the body normally makes, a healthy body makes all it needs. But when there's a disease state, the body can't make enough of this material, so the lining of the intestine becomes perforated. They call it leaky gut syndrome sometimes. And when that happens, the body can't block the introduction of toxins and poisons and allergens back into the body, and then we have all the symptoms of allergies and so on. But also, because the friction is increased when this mucus lining is diminished, then you get bleeding stools. You get caused by the friction, constipation, terrible pain. So when you can supply NAG as a dietary supplement to give the body what it's not normally able to make, these symptoms can be dramatically reduced to allow people with these disease conditions to live as normal a life as possible. It's not a curable disease. Crohn's disease, inflammatory bowel disease, is an autoimmune disease, and there's no known cure. However, we can manage the symptoms.
Now, Alan, of course, is a pain expert. We call him the Pain Away expert at Mark's Pharmacy at 80th and Scott Road. Alan, people come into Mark's Pharmacy with these symptoms, with these concerns. What recommendations do you have for your customers?
Well, the CNAG is part of a number of different alternative ways that we can help people. To me, it's one of the things that I choose first when someone comes in about irritable bowel syndrome, or even Crohn's disease, colitis, all right, ulcerative colitis.
They all cause people a lot of pain and discomfort.
That's right.
And really not a nice way to have to live your life.
No, it isn't. And they're on drugs chronically all the time. And I know people don't like to take prescription medications because they always have more than one effect. There's all these side effects. CNAG has the ability to basically let the body heal itself, reduce these inflammatory symptoms, and get rid of, your symptoms of pain and discomfort. That along with a good probiotic is what I, personally recommend to my clients is a first line of defense against this. So, and my goal is always to help people reduce their reliance on prescription drugs. And by giving the body the right nutrition, we can certainly help your body kind of heal itself. And that's the kind of stories that I think you've been reading about.
So on the line, we have Anne. Anne has been a user of this amazing product. Anne, how long have you been using it?
A couple of weeks now.
And what kind of results have you found?
Well, first of all, I had irritable bowel syndrome, and I'm happy to say that after taking CNAG, my irritable bowel syndrome has been helped and cleared up. And I also have osteoarthritis and rheumatoid arthritis, and found that after taking CNAG, overnight the pain in my hands was gone. I still get emotional over it. And I can now make a fist, which I have not been able to do for 12 years.
That's wonderful. Anne, thank you so much for joining us today here on HealthWorks Radio.
Thank you.
And, there's an email here from Linda in New Westminster who says, I've been on chemotherapy for breast cancer for the last 5 months. I finished my last chemo treatment a couple of weeks ago. While I was on chemotherapy, I barely got any sleep at night due to the aching muscles in my back. It kept me awake most of the night. She decided to give CNAG a try after her husband, who also had been using it. And she says, I'm happy to tell you it made a huge difference. My aching muscles didn't ache anymore. I was able to get some sleep and able to go right back to sleep if I did wake up. CNAG also helped relieve my aching muscles and stiff joints during the day. And although I have finished my chemotherapy, I still take CNAG. My muscles and joints feel better. I take 3 pills in the evening, 3 pills in the morning, and it makes a huge difference to the way I feel. Barry, you must get so many thank you letters from people all the time and success stories. And how does that make you feel? What do you hear? What do you hear from your customers?
Well, I've been hearing these wonderful comments going back over 25 years since we first introduced NAG to the marketplace. People, in fact, those who want to review some of the testimonials on the VitexNutrition.com website, we have all the testimonials listed. But there's one in particular that I've had for many years. It's called a living testimonial, and it's about a woman who had diabetes and severe ulcers on her legs and feet, so much so that she had to have one foot amputated, and the doctors wanted to take the other foot off as well. But fortunately, one of her friends had known about NAG and put her on NAG and other vitamins as well, but primarily NAG. And then the testimonial, you can see the step-by-step recovery of this woman who managed to save her leg and be able to live somewhat of a normal life, even though she only had still one leg gone. But it's amazing the healing powers of NAG. People with celiac disease, they have a similar condition to inflammatory bowel disease in that the small intestine, gets inflamed, is not able to absorb nutrients properly. Well, NAG will help to restore the intestinal lining of the small intestine and relieve the symptoms of celiac disease quite remarkably in many cases.
And it's interesting that you bring up celiac disease because it seems like there are more and more people that are suffering from it. And there's also, on the other side, there's the craze of being gluten-free right now, which is more of a diet thing and a lifestyle choice. But for people that are celiac, what exactly is that for people that don't know exactly what that condition's about?
Well, celiac disease is an autoimmune disease in that the small villi in the intestine, in the small intestine, which absorb nutrients, become diminished. And these villi are produced from NAG in the body. The body's not making enough NAG. The villi become inactive, and the body can't absorb nutrients. In fact, one of the problems of celiac disease is that people are undernourished, not because they're not eating enough food, but because they're not absorbing their nutrients caused by this condition. So, again, NAG can offer help for those suffering from celiac disease as well.
But really, celiac disease is people who eat wheat.
Well, it's caused by the gluten allergy.
Yeah, gluten allergy.
Which aggravates it. But
right.
Essentially, is really the prime cause is a lack of NAG, which the body would normally be able to defend itself against the gluten. But because the NAG, these villi are inoperative or reduced efficiency, as it were, the gluten intolerance becomes quite a problem,
right.
as you know.
So, Barry, what we've been talking about is vitamin C and N-acetylglucosamine, CNAG. It works specifically for IBS or any kind of irritable bowel problem or inflammatory bowel disease. And actually, because it's anti-inflammatory action, it's anti-inflammatory anywhere in the body. That's the extra feedback we're getting.
Exactly. In cases of rheumatoid arthritis, which is another autoimmune disease, the body's not making enough of this NAG material, which is the lubricant in the joints, the nature's shock absorber, as it were. When the NAG dries out or becomes insufficient, there's no protection against just the jars of walking or particularly running. Can damage the joint. Well, NAG helps to protect the joint.
Well, that is the key. That's what I've seen, feedback from my clients who are taking it either for their, inflammatory bowel problem or, pain in their muscles or joints that doesn't seem to be relieved except by, prescription or non-prescription drugs. And you want to avoid the side effects of those, non-steroidal anti-inflammatories, whether it's Advil and naproxen, Celebrex is the world. They all have more than one effect. Give your body the right nutrition. This is the message, and it will be able to heal itself. And CNAG is one of those products. It's a very potent anti-inflammatory in the gut, and it seems to work elsewhere in the body too.
And the beauty of it all is that NAG is totally harmless. It is non-toxic. It's freely water-soluble. It's a compound that the body normally makes, so it's not allergic to it at all. There's no side effects. You can take as much as you want or need. If you take more, it doesn't mean you're going to get twice as much benefit, but you won't harm yourself.
More information on CNAG is available at Mark's Pharmacy. You can go in and talk to Alan Glasser, and on our website, of course, at healthworksradio.com. Barry Carlton, thank you for joining us today here on the HealthWorks Radio Show.
Thank you very much.
We'll take a quick break and be back with more of HealthWorks Radio here on CKNW News Talk 980.